Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today we are introducing the new heavyweight of World of Tanks. It is the Taschenratte. This vehicle weighs 200 tons. It's the tier 11 mouse, and boy, you know, this is going to be one of my favorite vehicles to commentate on in the years to come. This vehicle is outrageous, in my opinion, inside the game. It has by far the best armor inside World of Tanks. Now, you could argue that other vehicles, maybe when they kind of, for example, sit in a perfect hold-down position and then use their gun depression, hide their lower plate, that their armor will be better. Let me tell you that the Taschenratte doesn't need any of that. This vehicle literally just stands in front of its opponents and swings for the fences. This vehicle is... I'm going to just immediately come out with my conclusion on this tank. I think this vehicle is outrageously good. I think it's far too good. And what people, including me, are doing inside this tank is just outrageous. Today, no gameplay for me, because why not just show the incredible epic games that the community are having? Firstly, we have Secret Service playing on the new extended Ensk region map. And the thing is that even though Wargaming can try and make Ensk bigger, when you play the Taschenratte, people don't care. But, you know, not worrying about things like getting flanked really here from the side, not worrying about just driving out in front of QuickyBaby or another Taschenratte on the enemy team who's firing gold. This is the way to play this vehicle. You basically want to just get in right from the get-go, and the only kinds of vehicles that can truly challenge you are probably the tier 10 tank destroyers. But remember, not tier 10 tank destroyers with weak, pathetic gold rounds like the QuickyBaby. We're talking about tier 10 tank destroyers like the Jagdpanzer 100 or T-124 with gold, or maybe even like the Ho-Ri with its 360 AP penetration with that better normalization. Those are the vehicles that can challenge this tank. And people, even with the armor flashlight, have not figured out really how to deal with the Taschenratte yet. This vehicle, it has 250 millimeters of frontal turret armor, 230 millimeters of side turret armor, 185 on the front, and 190 on the side and rear. That's right, this vehicle has more armor at the back than it does at the front. And the lower plate on this vehicle is actually quite well angled, as we can see here, meaning that you just go at 45 degrees and things just don't pen you. You can block 5,000 damage, take no damage at all, while also in the first 3 minutes of the game pumping out 5,000. And if that's not all, what we just saw there is that it has an auxiliary gun. That's what the ability is that you see here. And so every 40 seconds, once you get the vehicle upgraded, you get to fire two, I think it's 90mm HE pen rounds that are capable of doing 250 damage each if they penetrate. So that AMX M451, he didn't just take 500 damage from the vehicle's main armor, which albeit fires very slowly and doesn't have the best gun handling or accuracy and so on and so forth. But he took 500 from the auxiliary guns because they exposed the side, and then 500 from the main gun. These auxiliary guns, they can be used to, for example, track your opponents, or they can be used to finish off low health vehicles, as well as also really punish very weakly armored tanks. And man, when you weigh 200 tons and your power to weight, and you've got literally a 2,000 horsepower engine, which when you take a turbo on, and trust me, if you don't take a turbo on this vehicle, you don't deserve to play the Taschenratte. You must take a turbo on this tank. The best turbo that you can possibly get your hands on. This vehicle's engine power is staggering. It must go up to about 2,200 or so on this vehicle with the very best kind of turbos that you can get. My goodness gracious, 2 HE pens onto the side of the T-30, and that's really where you can see that players like Secret Service are really already min-maxing what the Taschenratte is possible to do. And 4.5 minutes into this game, Secret Service has already done 9,000 damage. So put your hands up in the comments down below if that's already better than your greatest damage game of all time. And how easy did this vehicle make it look? This vehicle, I reckon Wargaming will have to nerf it. I think they're going to have to either, they're either going to have to give its cheeks a little bit of a bigger weak point, or alternatively, make its lower plate a little bit weaker. So I suggest invest in Taschenratte right now if you want to be playing this absolute beast. Was that firing the double and the single at the same time there? It was. I didn't even realize you could fire them both at the same time. What is that? Just like... That's just outrageous. 3 rounds within like a second of each other, or even within half a second of each other at the target. That just made me realize that Taschenratte against low armored tanks is now like 1,000 alpha damage monster in that regard. It's a little bit more clunky to be able to deliver than the finesse of a single shell on something like a Jagdpanzer 100, but brutal stuff there. As Secret Service is definitely not being very sneaky here. They're definitely not playing one of those stealth missions in many, should we say, 007 kind of video games out there. There is nothing subtle about a Taschenratte going around the map, just absolutely clubbing. And is this like M46 Patton's nightmare right now? That poor lad, he's using the stock turret. Looks like they got a stock gun as well. They're loading the gold all they can, like most of the enemy team has all this battle after the first few AP ricochets, and it just doesn't matter. The Taschenratte, with those engine upgrades that we can see that Secret Service is using, as we can see they're level 19 in this vehicle, they've got this thing maxed out, is just absolutely clubbing their way. And the fact that they were able to keep up with an albeit stock pattern there is just absolutely outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. So not done yet. Secret Service pounds the tier 11 Swedish TD, tries to blind fire them there, uses the auxiliary gun to see if they can finish them off. And I have to admit, finishing off blind tanks, or tanks that you can't see, with those extra shells is just wonderful. One thing that does happen a lot with a vehicle that can get near 4,000 hit points is that you do get ammo racked quite a lot. So it's really a toss-up as to whether you want to be using a Bond rammer directive, or whether you want to be using either a Bond vents directive, or whether you want to be using the safe stowage directive. I thoroughly recommend you invest in your loader in this vehicle. Totally recommend that you get safe stowage, and even the safe stowage directive can triple the effect of safe stowage, meaning that this thing is not so likely to get ammo racked. And I'm just waiting. Have any of you managed to do it so far? The time that we see the first kind of like near 4,000 damage one-shot ammo rack on a Taschenratte at the start of the game. I think that those are going to happen more often now before people get the upgrades in the Taschenratte. But to be fair, you do get the ammo rack upgrade very, very quickly. I think it's the second thing that you get on this vehicle, meaning that it's quite unlikely to happen. My goodness gracious, 13,000 damage. And you know what? Secret Service, at the start of the battle, said Giga Chad tank. I mean, you sum it up correctly as to what this vehicle is. Absolute monster. 13,000 damage in 8 minutes, of which 10,000 of that was dealt in the first 4 minutes in such a nonchalant fashion. This thing, is the community going to think it's toxic and overpowered because it is overpowered, or are they going to let it slide and go, oh, you know, it's a German heavy, that's okay, it's okay on our watch. Our next hero today is going to be Tommy 31 Sniper, once again rolling out in the heaviest tank inside the game. Look at that poor mouse alongside them. Oh, you only weigh 180 tons. You haven't been having your whatever 20 million grams of protein per day. Oh, don't worry, my 200-ton frame is now going to come and oust you from the battle. I mean, the hit point disparity. Sure, that mouse isn't set up as sweaty as Tommy's Taschenratte is here. That mouse could achieve 3,550 hit points if it was using a Bond durability. But man, just to see near 4,000 hit points of 200 tons of German pain getting around the map, oh man, it's spicy. So not all Taschenrattes are created equal, at least for now. We saw Secret Service had already either grinded their Taschenratte a lot, or maybe they just dumped the 325,000 free experience to be able to fully max that out. As I said in my previous video, when you're taking a look at tier 11s, you can tell whether they're fully upgraded or not by looking at the experience indicator, that experience level alongside them. So we can see that none of the tier 11s in this game are fully upgraded. quite often that affects things like alpha damage. So for example, Tommy doesn't have the increased alpha damage on their Taschenratte, only 510 compared to the 520 that this vehicle would be able to achieve. They also might have less pen on the standard rounds, 268. I'm not sure if that actually upgrades with the full upgrades on the Taschenratte, but I do believe that you can get some gold pen on this vehicle to be able to go up to 335. Again, unless I'm mistaken. There's so much information to remember, so much to try and digest inside World of Tanks right now, that it's probably going to take a little while to be able to memorize every single one of those upgrades. But boy, they do take a while, but they also just feel quite satisfying at the same time. I'm trying to figure out about whether I prefer upgrades or field mods. Or both failed to pen there against the FV side there, but at least they managed to track the FV and lock them in place to stop that Marauder from getting around the corner. I think field mods, personally, for me, were probably better than just flat-out upgrades, because at least you get to customize your tank a little bit and make decisions. These just flat-out upgrades just effectively encourage you to grind the vehicle, which I think is a good thing, that, you know, you get a little bit of a reward for playing. But boy, some of the tanks, before they're upgraded, do feel quite stinky, boys and girls. They feel very stinky. So that's one of the things that I think is very important, that I'm taking my time with my tank reviews, so I can make sure that I get the vehicles fully upgraded before I come to a final opinion on the tanks. But look at this. That is a mouse getting destroyed by the auxiliary guns on the Taschenratte. Not even one heat shell wasted. Those auxiliary guns are free. They are free to use. Outrageous stuff there, with Tommy just punishing the previous heaviest tank in the game, knocking them out with just like a little slap, I guess, there from the auxiliary double guns. But man, when you think about it as well, while a lot of people who are performing well in the Taschenratte, like Tommy and Secret Service, are very sweaty, they got good equipment, they're using those premium rounds, as you should do, really, in a vehicle like this. Man, totally lost what I was going to say. That does not usually happen, Uncle QuickyBaby. It's because I've got 400 tons of German steel just like grinding it out in front of us right now. What is there not to love about this kind of outrageous gameplay? So what I was trying to say is that for every sweaty player out there who are spamming gold, the eco mode that you could have on this vehicle by only using the auxiliary guns is outrageous, because they're free. So I wonder if some weirdos are going to try and do like an auxiliary only challenge. Please don't do that. The idea of firing only once every 40 seconds and trolling your team is disgusting. I trolled my teams enough yesterday by accidentally entering battles without actually... what is this Taschenratte doing? That's not how you angle this vehicle. Why? Okay, you know, I guess Tommy's going to take a freebie. But guys, I accidentally entered 3 battles without ammunition yesterday. I'm not even kidding you. So be careful. Wargaming seemingly have stolen ammunition from vehicles that haven't even received changes to their guns. Bizarre. Like Black Prince, its alpha damage hasn't increased. Why did I have no rounds in my Black Prince yesterday? Funnily enough, a long story short, in one of my games yesterday, I entered with, I think it was a Challenger, the Tier 7 British turreted tank destroyer. I entered that game without any ammunition. I still think I managed to get 2 ram kills. It was on Ensk though, so it's close quarters combat, and finished 7th on my team on experience. So Uncle QuickyBaby, without ammunition in a Challenger, still able to outperform half the team. So what's your excuse, right, World of Tanks player base? But look, I digress. How about you take ammunition inside World of Tanks and not just rely on kind of like the free stuff that you get in the Taschenratte? But anyway, look, the damage that you deal, I believe, will make you credits. Although I haven't 100% tested it yet in this vehicle. I don't see why it wouldn't make you credits. So free ammunition every 60 seconds at first and 40 seconds when you get the vehicle fully upgraded. That is pretty cool stuff for the Taschenratte. It's just one of these kind of like extras that just is the cherry on top. This vehicle, if it didn't have the auxiliary guns and it was just literally this behemoth that just went round the battlefield, would have been amazing. But the fact that the Taschenratte also has those auxiliary guns as well that can just be so effective, like 1 health Jägeru, what are you going to do? auxiliary guns. I'm not wasting the gold round on you, Jaegeru. I've got my auxiliary guns now. I'm going to use those instead. Beautiful use of the auxiliary guns there by Tommy, showing you why they are just a great caliber of player here. Man, I just love big fat Germans. No, I didn't mean it like that. I love big fat German tanks. Okay, guys. I love big fat German tanks. There's nothing wrong with slightly plump Germans IRL as well, for sure. Yes. But like inside the game, these big German behemoths just bruising around the battlefield is just, oh man. I could watch great Taschenratte games all day long. And hopefully you are going to as well. That's why all of you have clicked on this video, right? And I can tell you, considering that we're already having such insane games, look at this double. Oh, doesn't actually manage to hit the first and actually doesn't pen the second, but follow it up. You know what? That's still 650 damage there dealt to the Grilla. And considering this is the kind of caliber of Taschenratte games that we've had within the first week of release, I can only imagine what kind of Taschenratte games we're going to have in the future. Will we see the first like 20,000 damage game? Probably not. And the reason why we won't get that high is because there's just really not enough hits, or hit points, I should say, to make the hits needed to do that amount of damage. Usually in the games, right? There's 35,000 hit points roughly in a tier 11 game. Maybe in a full tier 11 game, maybe they could be 40k. You know, will it happen without disconnects or AFK tanks? We can only dream, boys and girls, and that's what's so exciting to be a World of Tanks content creator now. It's just seeing all of your incredible games coming in. Whoa! It's the Grilla. Will they use the main gun or the auxiliary gun? Main gun used. Safest thing, right? Auxiliary gun could have finished off the Grilla there. And now, Tommy finds themselves outnumbered by 2 tanks and also down what was 6,000 hit points before a couple of vehicles appeared and the DBV got punished. And look at this, guys. That should have been the tier 11 German tank destroyer. But the DBV now thinking, oh no, what have I done? I've awoken the beast. The DBV actually gets a pen. Tommy follows it up with an extra double, but it only does 185 damage. So that means that he's actually not going to be able to finish off the DBV with their auxiliary guns. But that's some pressure. 200-ton tank coming down the slope at you. Like a bat out of hell there. A very large bat, more like Dracula out of hell in that kind of scenario. And now Tommy begins the first 1 versus 4 in the Taschenratte. 4,000 hit points on the enemy team, but we haven't seen the BZ-75 in a long time. Let's see how Tommy deals with this. So, Leopard. Oh, the main gun misses. Tommy now needs to gain a little bit of space to get a bit of a respite to be able to reload that gun and see if they can engage again. But remember, let's see how they're going to use their double guns in this scenario. It's always awkward when the enemy team are going to gather up. Does Tommy find the shot? They do. Upper plate. Leopard's going in. Doesn't think about the double. Tommy finishes off that vehicle. Now we're going to have the main gun reloaded as well as the STRV tries to go in. Finishes off the STRV with a high roll as well. Oh my god. That just... Oh, Taschenratte just... Yes, so blooming good in that situation. Fires the main gun. 1 opponent down. Turns the gun auxiliary on the next, and then the main gun reloads for the follow-up. Oh my lord, ladies and gents. There's nothing really the enemy could have done better there than going in at the same time, but this vehicle's capabilities with that auxiliary gun for finishing off low health tanks, oh my word, just absolutely fabulous, flawless play. The only thing that the enemy team could have probably done is try to get away from the 200-ton behemoth and instead maybe try to snipe from afar and try and wait for it, or try and get one person into the cap circle behind the building and wait for the Taschenratte to go and interrupt him. Like full claps right now. Tommy, you absolute beast. Tommy 31 sniper gave me my first true this is Taschenratte kind of feeling. 12,000 damage, but it's more that ending, that 1 versus 4 and how controlled and nonchalant it was. Oh my word, Tommy. Thumbs up to you, dude. Best Taschenratte game that I have seen so far. I'm sorry, Secret Service. Your game was incredible as well, but I do feel like you didn't have those big pressure moments. It was incredible aggressive play in the Giga Chad tank that you called it. Just going in angling at 45 degrees pretty much and just saying, hey boys, you can't deal with me. But oh my word, Tommy just getting through that stressful situation there and great use of the auxiliary guns all the way throughout the battle. Ah, chef's kiss. Just loved it. So, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was 2 god tier games with that 13,000 damage dealt from Secret Service, and then that 12,000 damage one versus 4 by Tommy in the Taschenratte. Honestly, I think this vehicle is bonkers. I think it's overpowered, personally. And so if any of you are thinking about which tier 11 heavy that you should probably be getting your hands on first, I think it's got to be this one. I'm kind of sitting on the fence in a way, because I think this vehicle, it has to be strong. It shouldn't just be a sack of hit points at tier 11. But I think Wargaming probably have to tune down the side armor on this vehicle so that the tank has to be a little bit more creative about its side scraping, rather than literally just coming around a corner at 45 degrees and going, no. That's just my opinion. Get it while it's hot, guys. We'll have to see what happens to this tank in the future, because it is capable of just fulfilling all of your big German dreams. Anyway, that's it for today, ladies and gents. Really hope you enjoyed this game, these games, and enjoyed the video and the commentary on it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know what you think about the Taschenratte in the comments down below. Do you think the vehicle looks just absolutely overpowered, outrageous, or do you think it's meant to be like that? It's a 200-ton behemoth, and it's meant to be a challenge to deal with on the battlefield. And if you're watching this video as it's released on Wednesday, I'm going live all day on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby with brand new drops tokens. So come along and get closer to your free tier 8 premium tank. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.